Good morning. In the last hour, the Kremlin has announced Russia is ready to resume peace talks with Ukraine tonight. While the world waits for President Zelensky's response, several of his country's main cities were targeted overnight. The mayor of Kyiv, Vitaly Klitschko, says Russia is gathering forces closer and closer to the capital. And in America, President Biden says he believes Putin is more isolated than he's ever been. With the latest, here's Chloe Keedy.
In Kharkiv, there is no let-up from the horrors of this war. Ukraine's second city is facing another day of bombardment. This is what's left of a university building, and civilian areas were once again the target of shelling overnight. Russian paratroopers are now on the ground here, and they're also reported to have taken control in the southern port city of Kherson. Yesterday, Russia struck at the heart of the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, targeting the city's TV tower, which is next to a Holocaust memorial site. Ukraine's President Zelensky condemned Russia's actions, saying, "This is beyond humanity. They have orders to erase our history, our country, and all of us." Residential areas in the city of Zotomir were also targeted by airstrikes overnight.
What's happening is the Russians are changing their tactics, and so what we see is nighttime bombing from the air because they are frightened of anti-air during the day. We've seen those massive bombardments and potentially encirclement rather than actually going into the cities where they know they'll lose thousands of soldiers.
President Biden last night used his State of the Union address to pledge to make Putin pay for the invasion.
And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
Ukraine's blue and yellow could be seen dotted around the chamber as the Ukrainian ambassador was given a standing ovation. The Kremlin has released new pictures of what it calls its special military operation in Ukraine. On the ground, a massive convoy of Russian tanks still sits outside the capital, Kyiv. This morning, as air raid sirens once again wail across this city, people here are bracing themselves for what might come next. Chloe Keedy, ITV News.
Julia Chapman joins us now from Moscow. What is the latest from the Kremlin, Julia?
Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson for President Vladimir Putin, said today that there will be a Russian delegation waiting and ready at these talks later this evening. He didn't say where they would take place, but he said they would be ready to meet their Ukrainian counterparts who he hoped would turn up. When asked on what he thought a successful outcome would look like, he would not be drawn. He said he does not have the power of foresight, but he did say that President Vladimir Putin has made clear his conditions to other interlocutors, but we do not yet know whether the Ukrainians are willing to agree. President Zelensky says he wants Russia to stop bombing cities first.
We wait to see. Julia Chapman, for that update, thank you very much. Here, the Prime Minister is likely to face questions from MPs today on the UK's response to the refugee crisis. Our political correspondent Daniel Hewitt joins me now from Westminster. What are you expecting from today's Prime Minister's questions at midday?
Well, Nina, I think it might be quite a different Prime Minister's questions, given the situation, the first since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And that's largely because political parties here in Westminster are largely united on the UK's response to the war. I think a couple of points of contention that will come up. I think you're right, the refugee crisis will come up, whether Britain should be more generous in its refugee offering to Ukrainians rather than focusing just on family members already here. I think you should also watch out for questions over sanctions of Russian oligarchs, wealthy Russians here in the UK, largely in London, with wealth and assets. The criticism of the UK government has been that it's too slow in sanctioning those oligarchs compared to what the EU and the US have been doing. And the fear and frustration amongst Labour and Tory MPs is that those Russian oligarchs are moving their wealth out rather than having those assets frozen.
OK, Daniel Hewitt, thank you very much. Join me at midday for the very latest. Until then, you can find out what's happening on